Hello people of YouTube, it's Deepak here, and welcome to DCS World 2.9.22, an airplane simulation company's C-130J Hercules. Welcome to this initial impression video. It's not going to be a tutorial because I've not spent enough time with the aircraft yet, although I have already spent something like 6 hours flying the thing. It's a lot of fun and it's very, very complete. I'm surprised that it's being called an early access release because most of it seems to be here and functioning, which is very, very nice. You join me here in the cargo area, or the very front of the cargo area, as the Loadmaster. And we're going to go for a little stroll, because that's a thing that you can do. Oh, actually, for some reason I can't stroll. Right, am I pressing the wrong buttons? Oh, right, I was in the wrong person. Right, you have to press number 3. So, yeah, actually, this is probably the first thing I should cover. Number 1 gives you the captain's left seat. Number 2 gives you the co-pilot or first officer right seat. Number 3 actually gives you the Loadmaster. Number 4 gives you the observer/navigator, who sits in the back here. And number 5, I don't actually know who this person is. I thought this was the Loadmaster. But this person is sitting here with this little control panel, which currently is, I think, not functional. Yeah, I don't think most of this is implemented yet. You do have the door control switch, though, which you can mess around with. We're not going to do that right now. Anyway, we're going to press number 3, and we're going to be the Loadmaster. We're going to go ahead and walk straight out of the ramp and observe our wondrous, wondrous aircraft. Today we're on the Afghanistan map, very, very kindly donated to me by Tea Kettle Barbecue, so thank you very much indeed for that. This is all thanks to him that I'm able to fly here today. And yeah, we're sitting here on the ramp at Bagram, and we're going to do a short flight to Jalalabad. I'll do some cuts, because otherwise this will be far too long a video. Again, it's not really going to be a tutorial, because I don't exactly know what I'm doing yet. However, let me give you some tips here. There are a bunch of tips that I'm going to provide during the course of today. I've got the ramp down, and something that a lot of people have struggled with is actually getting the ramp to come down in the first place. You can tick a tick box in the mission editor, extra options for the aircraft, and say that you want to start with the ramp down. So that's actually how I've done this here just now. The other thing to note is that normally the pilots, at least, I don't know how it works for the Loadmaster, cannot open the ramp when there's weight on wheels. The pilots normally can only open the ramp in the air when there's no weight on wheels. However, you can disengage the inhibit using the AMU, which is those little screens high up in the cockpit. These screens here. I'll show you how to do that a little bit later. And if you disengage the weight on wheels inhibit for the ramp, you can then open the ramp under any circumstances. So that's how you could deal with that. Another thing to note is checklists. Left control in C brings up your checklists, and these checklists are actually excellent and very, very easy to follow. So I would do this. Note that you can directly access the different checklists, and you can also change what level of checklist you want, if you want just to be action or GTA, which is like absolute minimum. Or you can go straight to what is probably something close to the real checklists. I'm normally doing action or sim. Actually, for today's flight, I'll leave it on action. We'll keep it very, very simple for today's flight. In here, you can also access the cargo system, and this is a little bit complex, and it's a new thing that's implemented for the game, but I think I've mostly figured it out. So you end up with this screen here, and you can choose what cargo you want to spawn, and then what gets put inside it. What gets put inside it are resources, which you can choose from this tab. You need to work your way through this list and actually set as loadable the particular things that you want. Only things that have been kind of pre-selected can actually be loaded, because otherwise, honestly, there's far too much stuff. There are far too many resources. This integrates with DCS's built-in resource management system. So these items will disappear from the warehouse in your current location, and they will appear in the warehouse at the place where you deliver them, which is nice. I've pre-selected these things. The Mark 82, of course, are bombs. The C-130 M18 appear as rockets. I don't really know what those are. But anyway, I've already pre-selected a couple of loadables. If you wanted to be able to load more things, you just go into this list and say, I'm going to say I wanted, what's something that's interesting? Say I wanted the Sea Eagle. I just put a star on it. And now if I go to actually load, I can spawn a container. I'm going to spawn a full-size ISO container, and you can see that it actually appears in the real world. We can then choose Manage Resources, and we can choose what we're going to load into that. So let's say we're going to take, 20 Mark 82s and put them in that container, and then let's say that we want to take 5. No, that's too many. That's too many. Two Sea Eagles, and also put them inside that container. And that's pretty good. I'm only going to load a single container today because I've seen some strange behavior with multiple containers, so we'll worry about that another time. You can then click All, and it will load everything that is staged, and that is now inside the aircraft. So there you go. We're going to jump back to the checklists now. And then left control and C again will once again hide the checklist. And if I zip back over here, you can now see that my container is, in fact, inside the aircraft. So there you go. That went swimmingly. So if I press number 1, I'm now in the pilot seat. And while we're doing our startup, I'm going to do right shift and P to hide the pilot bodies because they're going to get in the way otherwise. And let's run the checklist. So oil cooler flaps need to go to automatic. These are on the overhead, really high up here. There are these 4 switches here. If you click on the lower portion, it will set them into automatic. So those are all set, and then you can tick it off so that you know that you've done it. Generator switches, we've got 4 generator switches. They're all going to go into the on position. Set. Battery test. You can put the battery switch into the on position. That's this one here. That's us got some basic power, and we're going to just complete that one just now. And let's take a little bit of a look and make sure that everything boots up, because the avionics take around about a minute to come online, and you're going to get some bings and bongs after they've done so. It'll do some very basic stuff. Now, only some of the displays and some of the equipment will come on battery power. You then need external power or the APU to get full avionics power. But we're going to make sure the battery and the basics come on first. The essential stuff comes on first. While we're waiting on that, let's bring this back up again. Oh, there we go. That's it. The basics have just booted up. If we go into settings, it's worthwhile noting as well, you've got a reverse detent. It's a good idea to set this so that it's all kind of in the right position for you. I thought I'd set it before, but I've obviously not saved the change. Is there a button to save it? No. Okay, I'm going to set this again. I had it at like 0.2, I think. That was about right for me. So yeah, I've got auto reverse enabled and I've got a detent because I actually have a detent on my throttle. Let's reset that master caution and we have a bunch of dings. That's good. Okay, now we need to get power. We're going to do that with the APU. So I'm going to jump into the co-pilot seat because they've got easier access to this. And the APU is here. We're going to move it into run and then we're going to push it into start, wait a couple of seconds and release. We get a light and we get dashes. The dashes mean that the flap is opening and then it will start to indicate RPM. So APU is coming up. We can call that complete. And then we're going to watch the ACOS messages after we've applied. That's actually after we've applied the power. Let's check that in a moment. So we're going to wait until the APU gets up to 100%. There we go. Normal running, it'll bounce between 100 and 101. And you'll see the exhaust temps have stabilized as well. So that's a good start. On the overhead, all the way up here, we have a 3-way switch, which is for the external power. It can either be off, in which case we only get power from the engine generators. Pull it to the left, and you can get power from external, and pull it to the right, and you can take power from the APU. And you'll now note that the aircraft will fully boot up, and all the avionics will come online. Okay, so we want to monitor these warnings. We've got anti-skid off, the cargo door is open, the ramp is open, our DTCs are not loaded, and GPS is not available yet. Before we kind of proceed with aligning the aircraft, we want these GPSs to come online and get a fix. But that's cool. So, ACOS messages checked. ECBs, we need to go ahead and reset some ECBs. So on the AMU up here, you've got this center one, which is for both of us, and then the pilot has 2 and the co-pilot has 2, which are their own, and they control their displays. So now on here, we're already on the ECB display. Let's go ahead and bring up the ECB display on HDD2. We can do that by entering 2 on the keypad and pressing HDD. And you can see here we've got a bunch of electronic circuit breakers which we need to reset. So in this case, we can type all the numbers in and then go ahead and reset them. So we're going to need to reset 481, 482, 483, and then just to throw you off, 902, and then 108, 109, 609, 613. Press reset once, and then again to verify, and then you'll see that these all disappear. We then take that off the HDD, and actually I'm going to bring up the COM page here just now. So, ECBs reset. Bleed air. We're going to go ahead and turn on the APU bleed air with this push button here. We now have bleed air. That can be used for air conditioning, pressurization, and engine start. You'll notice that we get a value here in the bleed air pressure. Trim tab. We need to set trim tab power to normal. Otherwise, things like the autopilot won't work. Done. CNI MIU, Master AV selected. Okay, so this push button here, we get this power up page on the CNI by default, and Master AV on will turn on all the radios. So if we do that and now look up, we can now see that the comms are actually showing frequencies. That's good. Next, we want to check that we have an alignment position. We do, and that's because the GPS units are now available, so that's great. If we're happy with all of that, we can click Auto Nav, and the automatic alignment will begin. So we're now done with that, and power up checklist is complete. And if we give it a couple of moments, we should actually see that the attitude information will actually appear on the PFD. At this time, I'm also going to fold down the HUD, and I'm going to pull the switch for the HUD brightness, and that will give us auto brightness. And the HUD is now operating. That's great. Cool, with that done, we now want to make sure that oxygen is on. I'm on 100% and on. That's good. And then the next thing I would generally do is start programming up the CNI. Now this can take a really long time, so I'm going to try and do some quick stuff here, and also note that stored routes actually work. So if I go into route 1, which is the thing it suggests that I do next, I have a stored route. I'm going to retrieve it. I have a route taking us, as I said, from, is it Basra? No, Bagram. I get mixed up. No, Basra is Iraq. Bagram to Jalalabad. So I have that stored as Oscar Alpha India X-Ray, which is the ICAO for this airfield, and we're going to Oscar Alpha Juliet Lima. And if I put that into the retrieve route, it's going to load everything. Okay, I did this previously, so this won't work for you. You're going to have to manually program it all. But if I go into legs now, you'll see that all of my legs are pre-programmed. Now, I've programmed it using waypoints. Now, note that if we open up the checklist again and go to the nav tab, this module has a really good built-in map with a database of points. However, unfortunately, not all of these points are actually in the game. You're often going to find... Yeah, so here I've got Jezo. I did a flight to... Sorry, my flight plan is Jezo to Pegto to... There's a point here, Ramzo. Now, Pegto and Ramzo were in the database and they worked straight away, but Jezo didn't, and I had to manually enter it. If you right-click on these points on the map, it will give you the lat long. Note that the aircraft expects the DMM format with a leading 0 on the easting. So I had to enter 3435.35 for the northing and 07001.40 to enter that point. And that created a custom point. Luckily, those are retained when I store these, so that's great. I can go back to Route 1, and I can go to Arrivals and Departures, and I'm going to choose the departure. And yeah, actually, the stored thing even saved my departure. That's great. I'm taking runway 21 right today, and if I review that, there is actually no SID for this airfield, so that's the end of the procedure. That's fine. Go back to Route 1, Arrivals and Departures, and I'm going to choose my arrival at Jalalabad, and it's remembered my runway. Here we go. Going to take runway 13. There are no stars, so we're just going to basically do a straight in, which is totally fine. Now I'm going to jump into my told page, and I'm going to enter the runways that I'm intending to use, so I have quick access to them. So it's Oscar Alpha India X-ray slash 21R, and I'll save that as the first preset. And then as my second preset, I'm going to have Oscar Alpha Juliet Lima slash 13. That'll be number 2. But I want to make sure the first one is selected, because this is the one I'm going to use first. And then we can go into initialization. Runway heading, is that the correct runway heading? No, not quite. It should really be 203, actually. That's set. Slope, I don't have charts, so I don't know what the slope is. I'm going to enter 0. Surface winds today, I have these noted, are 192 for 2 knots. In it goes. Outside air temperature today is 12 Celsius, and barometric is 1021 millibars. That's all entered. I'm not going to bother with climb winds because I don't even know what they are. And takeoff data we won't have yet. We have to go back into the told page, and we need a drag index. I have no idea what this is supposed to be, so I'm just entering 10. And then if we go to takeoff data, we'll note that now all of our numbers are here. And yeah, rotation speed, it's giving me 100 knots right now, but I've actually not done the weight and balance yet, so we're going to have to do that. If we go back to index, we can do performance weights, and we're then going to want to start inputting some stuff. So for today's flight, I'm going to keep aside 10,000 pounds of fuel as trip. Payload, like I said before, the payload is a bit funny when you have multiple containers, but I think with one container it should work. So I'm going to enter 35 as the payload. That gives me a gross weight of 147.4, which is not what I'm getting on the kneeboard. So it should be 134.3. I've had this problem before. These numbers are not really adding up. I'll try and make it match this, because I'm guessing this is in some way correct. So I want to subtract 14, I guess. So I'm going to make it 21 instead for the payload. That gives me 133. Nope, that's also off. Let's make it 22. There. Close enough. We're not flying for real. Obviously, if we were flying in the real world, we would not be happy with this, but that's good enough for today. Transition altitude, I'm going to say it's 10,000. I don't actually know because I don't have a chart. And that's all fine. Next page. Our cruise, we're intending to cruise at 15,000. Cruising at a speed of 235. And I don't know what my fuel flow should be. Actually, I have no idea what the fuel flow should be. Can I guess something here? I don't even know. Let's enter 800. I honestly don't know what that should be. And in top of climb, I also don't know what the temperature is going to be up there. I'm going to pretend it's 4, just for our purposes. And then final page is in the descent. We need to know what the transition level is. Again, I'm going to say 100 because I don't know what the transition level is in Afghanistan. Okie dokie. So that should be most things kind of computed. The performance is all in. Departure and arrival is programmed. The route is in. I think that's everything we really need to do here. If I go to the mission computer and V-speeds, no, these are not correct. Weight and balance. And payload. Yeah, I want to enter the payload into here as well. So I guess it was 22 slash, and our arm as per here is 345. 345. We'll enter that. And that now means the mission computer has basically the same values. That's giving us a gross weight. Oh. Right, it's expecting the whole number. I thought it was doing the thousands. Okay, right, so that's totally wrong. Let's do 22000 slash 345. We're going to get a discontinuity there. That's... Oh. Okay, CG is too far forwards. It doesn't like that. Okay. So, that being the case, can we move it? If I unlock it, can I drag it? Yeah, clearly I don't know what I'm doing. I do not know what I'm doing. Okay, we're going to accept this. Although, of course, in the real world, you would never do this. This would be a very bad idea. And we're going to just move on. We're going to move on. We're going to pretend that everything is okay. So with that, I'm going to go back to told, and I'm going to go back to takeoff data, and I'm going to leave this page up, because that's going to be handy. At this point, my INS alignment is all completed, as you would expect. That's great. And we're going to go ahead and follow the rest of the checklist. So, oxygen is set. CNI, we did all of this, it's set. HDDs and HUD are set. ACOS is checked. Pressurization, let's jump over to the pressurization side. And we want to make sure that we have pressurization set to auto. Also, landing elevation, I know that I want that set for about 5,500 for Jalalabad. That's good. Set. Fuel management, set. Flight instruments, checked. Hydraulics. Right, let's go and get the hydraulics up and running. Hydraulics are all the way down here. We're going to go anti-skid to on. Aux pump to on, and make sure we get a pressure. Suction and boost pump switches come on at this time, and that's before start complete. Now we'd get to starting engines. The levers are indeed in ground idle. The low speed ground idle modes are all engaged. Exterior lighting needs to be set. We're going to go red strobes and steady nav lights, and then we would begin by starting engine 3. Okay. Is there anything else I need to do? I have a feeling that I missed something. Nope. Cool, alrighty. So, we want to monitor the engine instruments as we start up. So for this, we're going to go ahead and do one right click to put engine 3 into run, and then we're going to right click and hold until we get a bracket around the engine instruments, and then release. We also get a green light, but you can barely see it. So we're going to let the engine spin up. Helpfully, it even starts a timer, so you can see how long your engine start took, and make sure that it is within parameters. You'll see from the outside view, we have that bad boy spinning now. Okay, and straight away we're into the beta range, because I've got it in the ground idle. Okay, hydraulics are coming up. And parameters are normal. That's a good start on 3. And then we just repeat. Going to start 4. Okay, while we're waiting for that to come up, I'll actually get my standby instruments ready. Let's get that unflagged. And let's set the millibars on this bad boy. One, 0, 2, 1. Good. Okay, and actually I'm going to go PFD and switch this to millibars, because I don't work in freedom units. There we go. That's 4 started. Let's start 2. Oh, and while I remember, if you go into the pre-flight on the AMU, you'll see here that you've got the ramp DR WOW override. So you need to set this to off in order to... or do you set it to on? I forget now. Anyway, this is the control in order to control the ramp on the ground. Just be aware of that. Mine started open though, so I didn't have to fiddle with it. Okay, and starting 1. And with all of that happening, we check in with Loadmaster and make sure that it's safe to do so, but we're actually going to go ahead and close the door. Door controls are here. You can see that it's showing full right now. We're going to move it down into the close position, and it will slowly close up. And you'll know that it's fully closed without having to cheat and use the external view, because the warnings will disappear. There we go. The warnings for the ramp and the door have disappeared. We now return the switch to the off position, and that's the door dealt with. So I guess I should really have the weight on wheels override off, I think. I think that's me putting it back to normal. Okay, so all 4 engines successfully started. That's great. That's all done. APU bleed can now go to off. That's on the overhead here. Done. Air conditioning panel. Let's jump over to the co-pilot. We want to turn on this switch, and that turns on all the air conditioning. Starting engine checks are complete. Oh, and I'm going to put the underfloor fan to on. Okay, so before taxi, we want to make sure that the standby attitude indicator is uncaged. I did that already. Ice protection panel, which is this one here. All propellers go to auto. That's done. I was actually supposed to have this off for engine start, and I forgot. So anyway, those both go to auto as well. Done. Propeller controls get checked. Cool. Radar can go to on. Done. And before taxi is complete. Then we're on to the taxi checklist. Low speed ground idle buttons as required. We're going to have to actually come out of the low speed ground idle, because while we're in it, the generators are not running. There we go. That's the engine generators just came up. With that done, we can now actually disengage the external power APU switch. That can go back into the middle position. And we're now running on the engine-driven generators. However, for takeoff, I'm going to leave the APU running, and we'll turn it off in the after takeoff checklist. So that's done. Taxi lights and wingtip taxi lights are here. They're both going to go to on. That's done. Brakes checked and switched to normal. We're going to disengage emergency brakes. That's done. Flaps. We got the indicator for flaps here. And we're going to go 50%. That's 5 clicks of the flaps position doodah. And we're now indicating 50. Done. Trim tabs set. We want to once again check that the elevator trim is in normal. It is. That's good. And then we would set our trim for takeoff. I have no idea what it should be, so we're going to leave it. Flight controls check. We're going to go full forwards, full aft, left roll, right roll, and we're happy with flight controls. Nav aids. Okay, let's make sure this is all set correctly. So I'm actually going to tune the radio first. 120.1. I'm going to put it on Victor 1. That's tower. And then if I go to nav, we're going to take 74 X-ray on TACAN number 1. That's tuned. And let's go back to comm page. Course is complaining right now. So did I not activate my flight plan? Is that what I've done wrong? If I go index, route 1, activate, execute. There. Okay. Now the HSI is happy. I had all the wrong stuff set up there. Silly me. I can also go to nav select and I can choose what my pointers and things are. I'm going to leave pointer 1 as TACAN 1. Pointer 2 I'll make VOR 1 if I decide to use that. And CDI, we're taking it from the INS nav system, INAV 1, which is what you would expect. So that's good. Perfect. I'm going to leave the PFD up for takeoff, and then after takeoff, I'm going to go to the nav radar display. In preparation for that, I'm going to turn the nav radar on into one of the mapping modes, so it's ready to use once I get there. Set. APU panel as required, radar is set, taxi checks are complete. Okay, so now we're just going to get to the before takeoff checks. I'll do that at the hold short. So, we're going to go parking brake off, and I'm going to tap the toe brakes just to loosen us up, and then give it just a touch of throttle, and then return it back to the beta range, actually, because otherwise you tend to pick up a bit too much speed. Also note that on the ground, the rudders do nothing. They are not connected to the nose wheel steering. This tiller is how you actually do it, and I've got it mapped to my Z and X keys, so I can do my turns on the ground. So just be advised that the rudder and the nose wheel steering system are completely not connected to one another. You can actually map an axis as well. I think it's just called nose wheel steering. I would have called it tiller. So we're taking 2-3 right, which is actually this first right here. And then it'll be right again once we get into position. There we go. And we're going to go ahead and get lined up here. Okay, confirmed. Actually, I kept saying 2-3. It's 2-1 right. And you see, I did this whole thing with the props in the beta range. Okay, going to get nicely lined up here. And stop. Okay, we're holding it on the toe brakes. Note you've got this correct. It works a bit like in the Mirage 2000. It's like your acceleration cue. So just be aware of that. Okay, so final checks. Pitot and NISA heat switches go to on. They're all the way up here in the ice protection. We're going to go Pitot and NISA heat. They're all on. Done. Tactical stuff, don't care. Lights are set. Oh, actually, speaking of lights... There we go. That's our landing lights. They're all on. Fuel management is set. ACOS, check. We've got complaints about DTC. I don't think that's currently implemented. That's good. Before takeoff checks are complete. And then we've got the after takeoff. We'll address that when the time comes. Okay, let's go ahead and bring up the told takeoff data page. So, V1 is at 100 and VR is also at 100. Cool. So I'm going to pull back gently at 100 knots. Oh, actually, I completely forgot. I haven't set my ref mode stuff. So for today, we're setting 4,750 on the horsepower. Radalt warning, I'm going to set for 500. Ah, I got it wrong. Oh, too much. 500. IAS, I can't change that on the ground. And minimums will set when the time comes. Altitude select, I'll just put it straight into my cruising altitude. There, and that immediately engages the altitude select mode. And apart from that, we are good to go. Okay, so I'm going to pop us out of beta and just make sure the props do normal things. They have indeed. Okay, I'm going to apply full power. And I'm off the toe brakes. Note we've got a timer because we're in, basically like a toga mode right now. So don't exceed the timer in this mode before bringing it back into MCT. Okay, above about 40 knots, you should have rudder authority, so then you can forget about the tiller. Rotate. We've got a bit of a crosswind today, but it's not too bad. Positive rate, gear comes up. I'm going to lose 2 stages of flap already. And wait for it to stabilise a bit. And trim, trim, trim. You have to manually trim this bad boy. And flaps can come all the way up now. And that's us. We're nicely set. Okay, going to begin a left turn and continue our climb. We have a bunch of mountains nearby, so we want to make sure that we get a good climb going. And we can address that that checklist. Gear is up, flaps are up, lights are set. APU at this time will shut down, so all the way to the left. Oops, done. Aux pump now comes off, done. Pressurization checked, and after takeoff is complete. And then we're good with the checklists until we get to descent. Okay, at this time I'm going to go nav radar on HDD1. And yep, we start to get an image. That's looking pretty good. I'm going to roll out here because we're making our way onto course. And we're going to bring the throttles back to maximum continuous at this time. And you see our MGTs are now out of warning. That's good. And we'll get trimmed for a nice climb speed. So I want to climb out. I'm going to climb out about 190. So I'm going to hit the IAS at this time. And then go autopilot on the captain's side. I'm also going to push the nav push button. And it should follow the flight plan. Let's make sure it captures nicely. I feel like it's not capturing nicely. I've clearly done something wrong. So let's see if we can manually bring this in. You have to hit the autopilot disconnect switch on your yoke, by the way, to get rid of that warning. I think I gave it a really bad trim situation. You want it to be in kind of nice trim before you engage, so let's get that trim fixed. There we go. Okay, trim's a bit better now. And I think at about that point, it should be safe to go autopilot on again. Let's see what we get. Let's see if I can coax it back onto course. Oh, we're almost at our cruising altitude now. Oof, it's a bit violent. Okay, now with IAS selected, we can go ahead and change that speed. I set 235 for the cruise, so I'm going to let it bring its way up to that. And I'm now going to go auto throttle. And the system will now maintain that cruising speed. Okay, I'm going to take it out of select there. And I don't really know why we're having so much trouble getting it to go on course. Let's set heading and go into heading mode. And let's see if I can get it to kind of calm down a little bit. So we get heading selected. I'm going to give it a bit more heading to the left. And then I'm going to hit nav as an armed mode. And it should then intercept. Let's see what we get now. So now we're in heading, nav, and auto throttle. It should pretty much sort itself out at this stage. Cool, alrighty. So I'm going to continue the cruise, and I'll let you guys rejoin me for the arrival. Okay, you rejoin me here in the descent into Jalalabad, and actually I've done it a little bit too late. And so I'm having a hard time losing my altitude. So I'm going to make use of a fun little feature here. If I hit the mission button, I have the option to do a present position hold. So actually I'm going to deselect that. Present position hold. This all looks fine. Execute. So the aircraft should now enter a race course pattern, and it's going to then continue the descent while in this race course pattern. And that should help me lose that altitude a bit more easily. Now, Jalalabad is around about 5,000 feet barometric, so I've got about 10,000 feet to go. I've initially set an altitude of 8,000 just now, just to get me down and into kind of the regime where I can do a visual approach. We've got no ILS, no TACAN, no nothing at this particular airfield, at least none that I'm aware of, so we're going to be doing this completely visually, which is fine. So at this time, we'll bring up the descent checklist. The altimeters are set, pressurization is set, messages are all checked, defensive systems we weren't using today, landing and taxi lights, those will come on as we pass through 10,000, so I'll leave that checklist where it is for now, and then we'll do the landing checklist once we make our way in. But yeah, I'm having a hard time losing enough speed here. I'm going to pop it all the way down into flight idle, and let's try an idle descent. I'm using IAS mode with a selected altitude to try and manage my descent here, but I'm actually having a rather hard time in getting the aircraft to descend, so hence this little hold that I've programmed in, which the aircraft is nicely flying for me. Anyway, I'll bring you guys back in again once we're on our way to approach. Okay, here we are. We're managing to lose altitude now. I'm going to bring up the told page and switch it to our arrival. And we're going to enter landing data. Reset altitude select. Last leg. Okay. I don't know why, but for some reason this is actually not populating. So that's great. I don't really know why. And actually, we appear to be directly overhead the field. Yeah, okay. That's great. I'm doing a very good job here. Let's see if I can fix this. Let's go PFD on HDD1. Let's go ahead and disengage and disengage. That's all completely off. I'm now back in manual control. We're still at flight idle, but I'm going to give it 2 stages of flap at this time, just to give us a bit more drag. And let's go ahead and go landing lights on.
Check altitude.
Yeah.
Check altitude. Check altitude. Check altitude.
Going to cancel these messages. Heading hold is active. Oh, okay. Right, fair enough. Disable and disable.
Check altitude. Check altitude. Check altitude. Check altitude.
Don't know how to make it stop saying that. Oh, maybe I need to disengage the alt hold.
Check altitude.
That did it. Excellent. Okay. Right, and we want the speed to come further down. I'm going to aim for about 140 knots. So I'm going to make my right-hand turn here. And I'm also going to bring up Digimap on HDD2. That should make it just slightly easier for me to figure out what the hell I'm doing. So the airfield should be off to the right there somewhere. Speed is bleeding off. Let's go another stage of flaps, and let's go gear down. And we'll set minimums for 400. That should give me a bit of a shout out before I get too close. Right, a couple more stages of flaps. Speed's nicely bleeding off. Auto throttle is also disengaged at this time, so I'm just fully manual now. Where is this airfield? Let's just roll out for a moment so I can get a view. Is that me downwind? Okay, okay, that's actually fine. That is actually fine. We will take downwind. That's totally okay. Okay, so now that I'm back in visual, I'm going to bring those engine instruments back up on HDD2. Okay, so this is all done. Landing. Before landing, altimeters are set. Radar altimeter is set. Pressurization's fine. Flaps set. Gear down. Landing lights are on. Hydraulics. Aux pump goes on. Set. Before landing checks complete. Nice and simple. Okay, we're going to wait until it's time for our turn. Just a little bit more. And we'll begin that now. And this is when we need to start feeding the power back in. That's it. Yeah, we're going to hold it about there for now. That's nice. And I'm going to declutter this a little bit, actually. Let's pop it into Viz with no nav. That's nice. Keep it all nice and simple. Get it trimmed. Go another stage of flap. Okay, I got the runway in sight. Okay, flaps full down. We're landing. We're still a bit fast. But the speed's coming off.
Altitude. Altitude. Stall. Stall.
Oh,
Stall.
we don't want that.
Stall. Altitude. Altitude.
I got a bit too slow.
Altitude. Altitude. Altitude.
Get a slight crosswind.
Altitude. 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 Altitude.
Don't know why it's calling out altitude like that.
Altitude.
And we've got it into the reverse. Okay, we can pop it out reverse at that stage. And on the brakes. And there we go. We have it stopped at Jalalabad without too much difficulty. Pretty heavy landing, not the best, but we made it. And there you go. So at this stage we'd be able to make our way to the ramp and deliver our cargo, but I'm not going to bore you all with that this time. So a very quick, well not a very quick, a demonstration nonetheless of the Hercules, a simple flight, and yeah, demonstrating a number of the systems. I got to say I'm very, very impressed with this aircraft. The visual quality, and the level of the simulation is really nice. It feels quite complete. There's some small things missing here and there, but nothing at all major, and it's absolutely possible to engage in quite fun flights with it. So, I hope you all enjoyed that. Fly safe, and I'll see you next time.